The Covenant is a collection of species from across the galaxy that have all unified under the visions of the Great Journey. That tells the story of an ancient race of forerunners who spread across the stars, built an empire lasting millennia, then ascended to the next level of being. The SANGHEILI, known as the Prophets, acted as the leaders of this holy order and guided the species through the use of forerunner relics. But they were not alone on their council. Alongside them for the longest time were the SANGHEILI, the elites as humanity knows them. If the Prophets were the head of the Covenant, then the SANGHEILI were the arms, the visible presence of authority on the battlefield. Until the Great Schism, a sundering of beliefs and morals that tore the ancient Covenant apart, and at the centre of it all, the truth. The truth that the Great Journey was a lie. Hello, Rick here, and this cultural index looks to illuminate the culture of those who fought against and finally alongside humanity, the elites of Halo. One of the Covenant's founding races, the SANGHEILI originally evolved on an oxygen-nitrogen world, once protected by the Forerunners, much as Earth and many other sentient species' home planets had. Because of this, the relics and ancient technologies left behind by the disappearance of the race sparked a war with another power, the SANGHEILI. Ultimately, this war ended in an alliance, the restricted use of Forerunner artifacts, and the absorption of the SANGHEILI culture into the Covenant, the first of many races that would be indoctrinated into the Prophet's crusade. The planet Sangheilius is slightly larger than Earth, it has a higher gravity at 1.375 g, 2 moons, and a variety of climates across its surface, though large tracts of it are desert-like, especially inland, where the surface is baked by the 3 suns. It does have large expanses of ocean though, and many offshore cities and complexes exist to supplement the habitable zones of the planet. The species is also well established across a number of colony worlds, as expected from an interstellar power, though many of these colonies are still unknown. Sangheilius orbits a trinary star system, an incredible phenomena. The stars are known as Urs, Fide, and Juri. The planet's inhabitants are divided into continents, regions, and states, much like the topography of Earth, and each state is run by a powerful and influential family. For example, the elite known as the Arbiter, Thel Vadam, was born into the Vadam family, who held sway over the province of Vadam, of the Iruiru area of the continent Yermo. The family has long been established as the founders of this province, showing that family legacy and name carry great weight in Sangheili society, and the head of a family or clan is known as the Kadon. Often the title is passed down to another male in the family in a line of succession style, but has to be agreed upon by a council of elders. The mantle can be challenged by another who feels that they have a valid claim. This challenge can be resolved in combat, civil strife, or even assassination. In fact, assassination of a Kadon is regarded as a legitimate affair. One who sends the assassins often does not hide their identity, as succeeding means that they can adopt the mantle, while failure leads to them being executed. The women among the Sangheili are seldom seen. This is because they are not permitted to serve in the military, it seems. Although they are taught to fight and serve their family's honour in the same fashion, they remain planetside for most of their lives. The Kadon's ruling style may vary, but it is expected to obey the whims of its people, though the voices of those people are based on a sort of meritocracy where the weight of a familial name is taken into consideration. Each family has its own traditions and a battle poem that is an Iliad-style saga of deeds. As I'm sure is apparent by now, a great deal of merit is placed upon the Sangheili's ability in combat, its martial prowess and understanding of warfare. The family's name usually carries great weight. However, the children of these elites are taught in equal measure, allowing for even a complete unknown to rise to greatness. I suspect, however, that great families often maintained their legacy with personal lessons and training based upon the tactics that had kept them in power in the first place, constantly trying to validate their place in society. After all, a meritocracy rewards power to those who deserve, and none to those who cannot prove themselves. The military of the SANGHEILI therefore is present in many layers of a family's history, with every citizen taught how to fight at some point, regardless of occupation. However, the species eventually was absorbed into the Covenant, which simultaneously served to strengthen them and weaken them as a whole. Essentially, their cultural love of battle led them to focus more and more on warfare, gradually relying on others to supplement the other areas of their culture. Technology was reverse engineered from Forerunner tech by the San'Shyum, Ingame to perform manual labour, and so on. This would become a problem later on in their history, but for now, the elites thrived under the Covenant's empire. Many elites pride themselves not only in their tactical ingenuity, but their personal combat aptitude. Bladed weapons, especially energy-based magnetically contained plasma blades, like the infamous energy sword, are trained with constantly, and with the utilisation of personal shielding and cloaking, they're actually viable weapons in a firefight. There are many orders and chapters of warriors, both within the structure of the Covenant and outside, that carry a great deal of honour to serve in. Starting at the bottom, there are the miners. Due to the species-based caste system of the Covenant, even the lowest elite outranks most others around him, often leading squads into battle. Proving themselves victorious many times earns them a promotion from blue to red armour, and the status of veteran, a major. Ultras wore white armour and were considered commanders in the field, assigned to run operations and specific missions. Those in command wore gold and included ship captains and generals. Above this were the ranks of high command. Shipmasters, fleet masters, field marshals and the like wore the purple of the Covenant and were often termed zealots by UNSC forces. The Supreme Commander oversaw fleets of ships and was responsible for all operations conducted within. At the very top is the Imperial Admiral. These officers answer only to the Covenant's High Council. If you'd like to know more about the Covenant's ruling structure, there's a Cultural Index video on the San'Shyum already. You might want to take a look into that too. As mentioned, the entire SANGHEILI social structure is based upon the personal ability, so it's safe to assume that those at the top are very capable of defending themselves, hence the reason even SANGHEILI councillors bust out energy swords and wield plasma rifles. There were many other divisions, such as numerous stealth and reconnaissance branches, often equipped with specialist equipment such as jump packs and active camouflage. The Covenant also adopted the SANGHEILI tradition of the Arbiter, a judge warrior of the elites, feigning respect for their customs by repurposing it as an instrument of the Covenant, until branding it a role defined by failure. By far one of the most coveted positions was that of Honour Guard. Only the best soldiers were selected to guard the councillors and the San'Shyum themselves. The handing over of this responsibility to the Jiralhane was therefore considered a great insult by many SANGHEILI, even if they never voiced their concerns, and a sign of the beginning of the Great Schism. After leaving the Covenant, the Arbiter, Thelvadam, became the de facto leader of the SANGHEILI, after his alliance with humanity was tentatively established. He recreated the Swords of Sangheilius, using the title of an ancient sect of Kaidan warriors who had initially led his people into the Covenant, a period of great change for the species. A stable political structure for the elites is yet to emerge, as currently they are in the midst of establishing a new way of life removed from the Covenant. Several factions, including the Servants of Abiding Truth, oppose the Arbiter's efforts to establish a new government. Theologically, many SANGHEILI are also unsure of their place. The exposure of the Great Journey to be a fallacy has exposed the weakness of the race, their over-reliance on the technology and species of the Covenant, so the backlash is understandable. Before the Covenant, the SANGHEILI seems to hold their ancestors in high regard, telling tales like the Ballad of Kel Darsam, the first light of Sangheilius, who is the son of the sun god Urs. These stories are all that remains of their native religions and suggest a pantheon based around natural elements such as the sun and demigod-like individuals. Names carry great power in their culture, and to be nameless is the greatest disrespect they can bestow upon an adversary, as they did with humanity. This cuts both ways, however, as insults like squidhead and even the term elite aim to strip away the identity. The first name is a birth name given to them by their parents. As they age, they receive a badge name made up from their family name or a province name, a descriptive and a suffix such as the double E to show military service, and an I, AI, to represent a great swordsman. Other titles can be included in a name, but are very rare and usually reserved for very special individuals, such as fleet masters. Overall, the meritocracy of the SANGHEILI is what defines their culture, but fundamentally could be their undoing. Without the support of the Covenant and the power that they had enjoyed under its umbrella, a society based on military aptitude begins to fall apart without a substantial infrastructure of civilian industry. This is the state the SANGHEILI find themselves in currently, trying to rediscover and redefine what it means to be SANGHEILI, not just to be seen as the Covenant's elites. Hey, perhaps if you know a SANGHEILI, you could show them this video to help out, right? Thanks for listening to this Cultural Index. Most of this deeper Halo lore is there, but in a typical Bungie fashion you have to go digging for it. The next index might be something a bit different for Halloween. So rather than the cultures of sci-fi species, let's look at something more menacing. Let's look at either the feared force the Forerunners fled from, the Flood, or the biggest, baddest threat to Star Trek's individuality, the Borg Collective. Votes are in the comments below. I'll try not to forget to post them again, and I'll see you next time for a villainous version of the index. Thanks again, and work.